Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where you play a little bitty bit of... That's the wrong intro. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where you play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
I'm Maddy Grace Webben.
And I'm Anthony Lerma.
And today we're just doing it again. We recorded this episode last week, and we had a lot of technical difficulties that we thought we had overcame, and turns out we had not.
So, we did not overcome them.
No, it's hilarious. And I started listening to the episode to edit it, and we were all like, yeah, we're starting like an hour and a half late, but it's okay. We got everything figured out. We're good to go. Let's do it. And I'm like, this is unusable. I can't do this. So, for the second time that y'all are hearing for the first time, we'll be discussing the third episode of Suikoden 2, which will cover everything up until I forget where the
let me scroll down. Let's find out. Right. Well, I don't want to say a very big dramatic scene. I want to say because those of us who are listening will want to get spoiled.
You could say before we go to the Kingdom of Matilda.
Yeah.
All the shit that happens at Greenhill.
So, yeah. Yeah, that's what it was. We until we are kicked out to the world map after completing the episode in Greenhill.
Greenhill Zone.
That is where we stopped.
This is Greenhill Zone Act 2 since Act 1 fucked up.
Yes, this is Greenhill Zone Act 2. But before we get to all of that...
In Sonic the Hedgehog, there's 3 acts.
No. This is Greenhill. No, Act 2 is when we go back to play more Greenhill later in the game. This is the Greenhill Zone future. Good future.
Okay.
God. Before we get started on all of that, how was everyone's week?
It was pretty good because I played a bunch of Suikoden 2, and now my memories of last week are overwritten with memories of the upcoming episode.
Yeah,
so that's fun.
This would have been better as an intro, but hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and welcome to RPG Book Club. That would have been smart if I thought of it 5 minutes ago. I just saw Jackass 4 with my friend. It's a very lesbian thing to do, going and watching Jackass with your friend who's also lesbian. What a good movie. It's great. They had a part where he had a queen bee on his dick, and there were about 10 bazillion bees on there. It was great. They had another part where, let's see, I'm trying to think of one of the bits that didn't involve dicks, which is like,
shouldn't you be giving a spoiler warning? People will get spoiled on the plot.
What's his name?
But what is the plot?
Who's the tall, very tattooed man that we all don't like right now? The celebrity. Machine Gun Kelly. Machine Gun Kelly got fucking owned in this movie, and it was very funny. He didn't even take it that well either. He was a total pussy, honestly. It was very, very good. The plot is that they're making another Jackass movie. And nice. They're a lot older now. And there's a lot of new young bucks who are getting to experience what it's like to make horrible decisions with your friends. One of them is a girl, and she's really hot.
I was about to say, I heard they got a girl. That's cool.
Yeah, one of them's probably a gay dude. They never talk about it or anything, but he's got a rainbow flag tattoo and stuff like that, which is cool. Yeah, and they don't even make any gay jokes because because how could you possibly make any jokes about someone being gay when you're making a Jackass film? Which got increasingly very knowingly homoerotic. They've actually been very cagey about any of their sexualities, in a way that's on purpose, because if they were all straight, they would just say we're straight. It's very funny. It's been a 20-year long running Gag. Anyway, yeah, great movie. And I have one more thing that I'll be putting in the chat in just a second while y'all share about y'all's week. Who cares what else happened in my week? Who doesn't matter?
I was going to ask real quick. Does the girl get kicked in the nuts too?
Sadly, no. Honestly, if I have one criticism of the film, is that the hot girl is a bit underused. She's present for a lot of stuff, but she doesn't get extremely owned nearly as much as the other characters do, and not as much. It's a bit of a shame. Maybe they recorded stuff with her and decided not to use it for whatever reason. I don't know. You know how movie making goes.
What about you, Anthony? How was your week? And/or 2 weeks?
It was good. So my friends who got married, they got married on Thursday, and they got married in San Francisco City Hall. If you've been to that City Hall, it's very beautiful. And then they drove on down to Los Angeles to have a little party in the park. And it was the most people I've seen in a while, like 20-some people. It was really fun. We had a game of kickball, and I made one of those balloon arches myself, which was really hard to do, surprisingly.
Nice.
But it's easy, but the blowing up the balloons is the hard part, and like the color coordination. But it turned out. I'll put it in the chat if you guys want to see it. It turned out all right.
Nice.
But yeah, overall, good and friends. Positive.
Eric Andre gets owned at one point. It's great.
Ooh,
oh, nice.
I love him.
He's so good.
I am debt free, minus of course for Joe Biden's shit, because all of my student loans are between Joe Biden and God. Mm-hmm. I'm not paying anything anymore. I can't take credit for that. Under the desk news is where I heard that phrase first, and it stuck in my head. But yeah, I paid off all of my credit cards, including this super old one that I've just been paying the minimum on since like 2 years before Scarlett was born.
Whoa.
Damn.
So yeah, I paid everything off with my tax return this year. So I am suddenly faced with like expendable income, because like my credit card bills were like $400.
Yeah, no, getting rid of that shit's incredible.
Now there's like zero. So I bought the second best kart racer of all time today, and the best gameplay and worst looking Pokemon game as well. And nice. I've been playing each one in like 15-minute spurts to then go play the other one, because I want to play both of them, and I can't actually play both of them at the same time.
That reminds me of something I did over the past 2 weeks, which was play Pokemon Shining Pearl. That's the worst mainline Pokemon game.
Oh, really? Why?
It totally is.
It's like got all the things I remember not liking about the original Gen 4 games, mainly that they like to put in parts where you can't walk at full speed and the bike's weird. And also, like, you can move around freely with the analog stick. Feels bad. You're always like rubbing up against things and they slow you down. Or you can move in a grid, but the grid is using the D-pad, but the grid is extremely weird. And like, it's not like there's an actual grid on the map. It's like you're moving grid-like relative to your current position. It's hard to explain.
That's weird.
But moving in the game is extremely bad. Also, I think the aesthetic feels very... my friend described it as not intentional. Like... the Link to the Past, or not Link to the Past, Link's Awakening remake, it looks very intentional. Like they had a clear idea, they went with it, it fit the game, it was perfect. But the weird, like, sort of vinyl figurine look at the characters, there's not really any reason for it, and I frankly just think it kind of looks bad.
That's a shame. Yeah, and it's funny when they first announced it. I was like, they're like, we're remaking Diamond Pearl, and my two thoughts were, wow, it actually looks amazing. At least I hope they improved the game design, and apparently it looks bad, and they didn't change the game design. The one time I will ever complain about them not changing the game design when they remake an old classic game.
Yeah, I looked at some things that people were saying, like on Backlogged, and everyone's like, it's the exact same. Like, even people that liked Diamond and Pearl, like, I didn't like the originals very much, but even people who loved the originals were like, it's the exact same. What's the point of remaking it if it's going to be exactly the same?
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I mean, who is that for, though? Like, are they for?
Hopefully, it's for my wife and her best friend and I on Saturday, because we all bought that game and are going to start it in the same room together and have a good old fashioned like social Pokemon game. So I hope that it's good enough that they like it.
I mean, this is good enough that I played the whole thing.
I'm a shill, so I'm going to play the whole thing. And Diamond was my first, like, this is my Pokemon game. Like, I had touched Gold and a little bit of Sapphire before, but, like, Diamond was the first time that I picked a starter, and I took them all the way to the Elite Four. So I have a big soft spot for it, even though it's probably not actually good. I have not ever gone back to that generation.
I think one reason I didn't love Gen 4 is because I think there are a few actual problems with it, but I think mainly it was just I started with Pokemon Red and Blue. I played the heck out of Gold and Silver. I played Ruby and Sapphire, and then by Gen 4, they had not really done anything to seriously change the game since Gold and Silver, and it was getting old at that point.
Yeah.
Bernard, you're missing the best one. Yellow. The TV show one.
I also played Yellow, of course.
I like to think that Gens 3 and 4 were just the tech debt of Gens 1 and 2. Like, Gen 1 was, hey, let's see if this even works. Gen 2 was like, let's add more and do more stuff. And then Gen 3 was like, our math didn't make any sense. Let's change it. And then Gen 4... like all of the good changes by Gen 4 are all like stuff you don't actually see while you're playing the game that much. They just made the math work better, added abilities, those sorts of things, but didn't really change the game. And it was in Gen 5 that the game started to actually like grow and evolve. It just was graphics and math for the first 4 gens.
Yeah, I still had some fatigue in Gen 5, but there's a lot I really like about Gen 5, so I still like enjoyed it. Gen 6, when it was like in 3D for the first time, and they added fairy type, and it takes place in France, and it was really cool. Gen 6. It was when I started getting excited about Pokemon again.
Yeah. I'm currently excited about Pokemon.
Dave England gets 15 gallons of pig semen dumped on him. It's great.
Where do you get that much?
That was what I was thinking. It's a lot.
Jesus. Anywho, yeah, let's stop talking about pig semen and instead talk about pig Suikoden.
No, I have my last. Check it out. I'm sending it to the host chat. Oh, why is it so slow? Go fuck off. The other thing that happened just earlier today.
Oh, nice.
Goth UPS driver.
Not goth.
I watched that show in the photo.
I got the kind of look.
I would watch that show. That'd be really fun.
Okay, well that's partially just the lighting. I got my UPS outfit today. I was supposed to have already gotten it. No one told me that, so I managed to go acquire it for my training. I have to be wearing, even though it's all on Zoom, you have to be fully fitted up for your days of Zoom training on Monday. So yeah, very exciting. It fits pretty good. I may have gotten too big of pants, but like that's weird. Since when am I smaller than a 10? Also, I got shoe shine because you need to shine your shoes. They're very particular. You gotta have you gotta iron your shirt, and you gotta shine your shoes. So I gotta learn how to do that. It's probably not that hard. You probably just put the the polish on it, and then use the little brush to go eater. It doesn't seem like it's that difficult, but yeah, it's exciting. I'm excited about it, and I look cute in my little uniform.
Do you get to choose shorts or pants, or do they give you both?
So at some point you get both. I forgot to ask about the shorts, but it's baller cold right now, so I don't feel bad about having forgotten to ask about the shorts. I'll ask about the shorts when it's short weather. What I asked about was, what do I do when I'm fucking cold? And they were like, well, you don't get the whole fit, like multiple shirts and a jacket and all that stuff until you actually get through your training. So for now, just like wear if you have like a brown jacket, you should wear that. And I don't, so cross that bridge when I get to it. It's cold right now over here in Northern California.
It's 50 degrees. Come on, Sam. Tell us how cold it is where you live.
It was 4 degrees when I woke up this morning.
Nice. Yeah, those UPS drivers, I'm sure they give the new hires the jacket on day one. And long, warm socks. Also, that balloon arch looks great.
Thank you.
Yes. What
it's
else
colder
looks
here
great?
in Texas than it is where you are.
How cold is it right now?
It's 28 degrees.
What? Really? Holy moly. Yeah, it's
we're getting more winter weather.
Yeah, it's been pretty consistently high 30s, low 40s though for during the day for like a week now, and it's getting a little old.
Yeah, it's been getting cold in Texas, but it's not consistent at all. It'll be like 25 degrees one day, then like
Classic
70
Texas
the
weather.
next.
We don't have seasons. It's just RNG year round, except for the 2 months of double summer.
Well, we have two seasons. We have summer season and RNG season.
Yeah. Well, I call it double summer, but yes.
Yeah, the Wisconsin winter is the opposite of Texas summer, where the other day, it was the day we were recording, I was like burning up because it was like 40, 50 degrees outside, and my office has a server, a gaming computer, a work computer, PS4, big ass TVs. It gets sweltering in here. So I turned on my AC, and I was like, oh, let me like unplug some of the, like around the AC I have like towels stuffed because it's drafty around it. So I'm like, oh, let me take some of that out. Like spring is here, welcome sunshine, and then it plunged to like -12 the next day. And so in Texas, summer doesn't want to ever give up. Like winter weather starts in like late November. In Texas, here it's like, oh, winter weather will stop in like June. It's wild. But yeah, third segue into talking about Suikoden into Swagway.
Swagway. So, when we last left our heroes, we had just won a desperate defensive battle against General Solon G of the Highland Army, but we were still it's still pretty damn rough situation. I mean, like, we won one battle, but the whole country is kind of under occupation, and we've got, like, a couple dudes in the castle. So, anyway, they all get together and decide that we should all elect / appoint by acclamation, whatever, Toby to be the commander-in-chief of the army and the lord of the castle, the light and hope of the United City-States of last time I didn't remember it, and then y'all helped me remember it, and now I forgot it again. What's the name of this country technically that's mentioned like once at the beginning of the game?
Joustin.
Joustin.
There we go. The United City States of Joustin. Toby is like, I'm like literally a teen, and it's kind of a lot of responsibility. So yeah, and then finally, what's his name? Victor decides to finally share with us the story they've been teasing us for a while. The story of Genkaku, our sort of adopted, our adopted grandpa. So, yeah, so you do this in a bar. He's like, he gets a drink of beer, and he's like, "You want a drink? Oh wait, nah, you can't drink. So I'm gonna drink my beer, and you can just chill, I guess." So
you're a minor, you can't drink, but you can lead all of our armies into battle.
Yeah, so Joey sits there chilling and enjoying and watching Victor enjoy a probably delicious beer right in front of him. So anyway, so here's what happened. So like 3 years ago or so, Highland and the state of Joustin fought a huge ass war that they said was probably, though it seems like no one's really sure, started by the state, actually. They're the instigators. So Annabelle, if you recall, she was the mayor of Muse. Annabelle's father, Darrell, led the state against the renowned Highland General Han. Darrell was getting like mega owned until the brilliant General Keikaku showed up. He did a ton to rally the state and fight back against Highland, except also it turned out that he and Han, recall the Highland General, they grew up in the same orphanage, just joking, same village, and were friends, and they would often meet between battles to talk. So eventually, both sides realized that the fighting was pointless, and they drafted a peace treaty. Everyone was happy, except for Darrell, Annabelle's father, and the sort of ruler of the whole shtick. So there was one border city, Chiaro, which, if you recall, is Toby's hometown, which Darrell refused to cede to Highland as part of the terms of peace. He's like, nope, we're not giving up that territory, not for nothing. So that completely cratered peace talks, and the war continued. So the king of Highland, who at the time was Agaris Blight, who probably the dad or grandpa or something of Luca Blight.
Agaris Blight is currently still the king of Highland. He's Luca's father.
Oh, okay, cool. That's right. Luca's just kind of being a fuck. That's right. So Agaris had an idea. What if we decided the war with a one-on-one duel? Of course, Han and Genkaku were chosen as representative fighters, but shockingly, Genkaku refused to draw his sword. So he just sits there not drawing his sword, and Han isn't going to just like cut him down. That's weird. So they both just kind of stand there for a while, and Han is like, "Can you please fight me?" So eventually, Han takes out his sword and puts it to Genkaku's neck. Doesn't kill him. It's not a fight to the death. And wins the city of Chiaro for Highland. For his failure to even attempt to fight, Genkaku was banished, and he never revealed to anyone why he refused to draw his sword. Until many years later. So many years later, after Genkaku was long gone, and also Darrell was no longer mayor, the truth finally come out. Once again, I forgot. Wow, I'm literally forgetting my jokes 2 years in a row. Does. Toby
I'm not telling you this time.
No, god damn it, no. Bruno Mars is gay. There we go, got it. The reason I forgot it twice is because I didn't think of the joke until I get to that sentence that I wrote. Anyway, so yeah, you find out that Bruno Mars is gay. You find out that Darrell had secretly coated Genkaku's sword with poison. So the idea was that he was going to coat Genkaku's sword with poison in order to kill Han, and if Darrell lost, then, well, at least this general who fucking defied me by having the gall to try and sign a peace treaty is out of my hair. And if Genkaku were to win, then not only would Han die, but he could be like, "Oh my god, Genkaku, look at this horrible crime you've done by using poison in a duel that wasn't supposed to be to the death. I'm going to I'm gonna execute you or exile you. So that was the plan. But Genkaku found out about the poison and refused to play along with Jarrell's nasty little game. So of course he'd already been exiled at this point, I guess. So that's the story of Genkaku. After that came out, everyone in the state felt like really bad. That's why everyone is just constantly kind of apologizing. Like, man, we really did your guy dirty. We feel like shit because of our stupid mayor.
So I have just a fun thing. So I just noticed that we have Annabelle, beloved mayor, daughter of a previous mayor of the same city, which is weird. But in Trails in the Sky, you have Maybelle, beloved daughter of a beloved mayor of a city, daughter of a previous mayor.
Yeah, so we have Annabelle, the mayor, and Maybelle, the Anner.
I hate that. I don't like that.
I'm sorry.
Good joke.
Y'all can fire me. It's okay.
Yeah, you're fired out of the cannon like Johnny Knoxville in Jackass 4, ever, out now in theaters. Anyway, so we return to the throne room and we accept the mantle of leading the state army against Highland. Leknath, the keeper of the great rune, the watcher of balance, or whatever the fuck, gives us the stone tablet of promise, which is a list of the 108 recruitable characters so we can keep track of getting them. She says that we and Joey both have a hard road ahead. Joey, who hasn't appeared in 2 episodes now. So the next morning, Lord Toby awakes and investigates the castle. We learn of yet more and more systems, such as the fact that someone wants to build a restaurant in the castle and add lots of empty rooms and a very notable empty square. We learn that people want to open, quote, attractions. It's a lot of video game here, folks. We get some hints about possible side quests and some possible new party members. There's at least one, but also probably more than one, like character you talk to where it's like you have a very conspicuous conversation with them and they're like, what's up? And then nothing happens. And you're like, well, that's probably a side quest to get that guy to join me later. So anyway, we go to the meeting hall and there is a visitor. A guy named Fitcher, who we all now know that we love.
Love is a strong word.
He rules. He used to work for Annabelle, but now he works for Two River City. So he heard about our victory against Solange, and he came of his own initiative, not under the orders of the mayor of Two River, in order to implore us, please travel to Two River City and forge an alliance. I think that we should definitely be working together with y'all to beat the bad guys. He seems a little sus, but we go with it. I'm not going to say how, but just like every other line of dialogue, he says something that seems a little off, just kind of a sketch character. So it turns out that the bridge between here and Two River is out. So Fitcher came by boat, but then his crew fled in fear after that big battle. So we got to go find a boat to go with this guy back to his own city. So we go back to Couscous, which, if you recall, is a city on the lake that we it was literally just like a stopover last week. So we find the boat guys, Tai-Ho and Yam-Ku from before, and we ask them to join up with us. But first, we gotta meet the guy in Dice again. Cool. It's really annoying, but you also can totally like save scum it. The dice game's not fun. We bitched about it last time, but I think probably we were more chill about it now because a week has gone. Time feels all yours, folks.
Yeah, have you like ate an hour of my time last week, but now like who cares?
I have a complaint about the dice game.
Here we go.
In the first game, you hired someone to come to your castle and be the guy where you can play dice. And it was extremely easy to save scum your way to infinite money because the way the dice game worked, you would win, and then you'd be like, okay, you can now play again to double your winnings. So you just double your winnings over and over again and win an insane amount of money really fast.
Mhm.
In this game, there is no doubling your winnings with the guy that you hire to play dice with you at your castle. So you can't get infinite money real fast. You can get infinite money real slow, though. That annoys me. I want my infinite money real fast.
Yeah.
What I was going to point out is one time I was rolling dice, and one of the die fell out of the bowl, and then I lost, which I think would just be an automatic do-over. But no, you screwed up. It fell out of the bowl somehow.
It's
You
not
suck
rules.
at dice.
Oh,
I know, but I didn't know that you could do that.
Well, it didn't happen. It didn't happen to me either.
when you it hasn't happened to me in this game, but in the first game, when you roll and it goes out of the cup, I think they say it's piss.
Yeah, that's what they say here too.
Oh,
Okay.
did they? I didn't catch that. Oh, man.
I guess that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but now we have a boat. It turns out that Taiho and Victor go way back, which makes sense because they're both capital F, capital T, capital F, capital G from the first game. We take our boat across the lake to Lake West Town. That's what it is. So now Fitcher can't seem to recall if Two Rivers is west or south of here. That's weird. Just like last time, I'm going to tell you what's going on right now. Like I said, there's all these things that suggest that Fisher's sus. I'll spoil it for you. He's not sus. Almost every time he's sus, it's actually that he's really unlucky. The universe just keeps conspiring to make him look bad, even if he's totally just doing his best. Except for this part, where I think he's just being stupid. I think he's just stupid. I think he just got confused. But other than this
I guess
part,
he didn't recruit Templeton and doesn't have the map.
yeah. So here, I guess he just doesn't remember. I guess he just doesn't remember where some goddamn town is here. But the reason I
He's
bring
new
that up
there.
now. Yeah, the reason I bring that up now is because it is kind of an outlier. Because every other situation, it's like, oh, it looked like you were being an idiot or bad, but it was a misunderstanding. So anyway, instead of going with us, he writes us a reference letter and runs off. So we arrive at Two Rivers, which is cute because the city's on a bridge, and I totally entered the other side of the city earlier in the game while exploring. It was being blocked by some kobold ninjas who were like training. I don't know if they're actually ninjas, but at the time I was thinking, oh, those ninjas. So when we arrive at Two River City, a damn kid steals all our money.
God damn it, Choco.
And it's annoying. We'll learn more about him later, though I do think that at the time we do know that his name is Choco because it says that in the UI. So we go to the mayor's place and we show them our reference letter, except, god damn it, it got stolen by that kid what stole our money and apparently also our reference letter. So the guards tell us that Two Rivers used to be just humans and kobolds that cohabitated in the city. But then the, quote, winged freaks came down from the mountains. They steal shit and do weird ceremonies and are generally unruly. Welp.
They have different customs.
Yeah, exactly. So these winged freaks are a third race of people. They call them wingers. They never explain if this is a slur, and I can't recall if any wingers refer to themselves as wingers, but it definitely doesn't sound like a nice word. So we end up chasing that damn kid named Choco to another part of town. He lures us through labyrinthine streets, and last time I noted that it's one of those mini games where there's sort of like a maze, and the person runs away from you, but if they can run, you can keep going in circles. So you have to like kind of herd them into a dead end. But it turns out I was the only person who even noticed that that's what was going on because everyone else just got it right on the first try. So cool, I guess. Good job, everybody. Yeah, I had to fuck it up and it needs my brain to be like, wait a second, I gotta go that way so that he'll run into a dead end. So anyway, we confront him and we have two options. The first one is, say, Wait, hold on. The first one is just like, hey, please give us the letter. Just give us the letter, not all the money. Just give us the letter and then go away, please. That's the part we really need. Or we can say, quote, "You little punk, I'll kill you." Either one we say, he unfurls his wings, because turns out he was a winger, and flies the fuck off. So here's where I realized that this town is kind of like in that game Brave Story New Traveler. Remember we had that one town in Brave Story New Traveler that was like two towns at one that had like the rich area and the poor area?
Mm-hmm.
This town is like that. It's got the human district, the winger district, and the kobold district. All three districts have different music and different tiles for their buildings. There's totally different styles of buildings. It's pretty damn cool. You really get the idea. This really is three different towns cohabitating in the same location. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat how like one district is on one side of the river, one is on the other side, and then the other is just like this haphazard thing built over the river that you just sort of have to wander through to get through to the other district.
Yeah, it's neat.
My only complaint is that there's no blacksmith. Where are the blacksmiths at?
There are. The first game, it was appraisers. You could never find an appraiser. This game, it's blacksmiths.
It's crazy.
This game is different appraisers. It's funny considering how long it takes you to actually get anything that needs being appraised.
In the first game, you got things to be appraised constantly, and you could not find an appraiser anywhere.
It wasn't until this week that I got one after 3 episodes.
So I looked it up back in the first week when I cheated by going to the end of the game, because I was like, how does equipment work in this game? Because there is nothing. So there are only like 4 blacksmiths total, but we're about to get one for our castle, and the one in your castle you give special items. Like I have a hammer hanging out in my inventory until they show up, and you give that and it increases their max level. And so you don't need to find any more fairly soon.
You level up your main guy. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So anyway, after complaining a little bit about the lack of blacksmith, we go back to I didn't complain for the record because I forgot that I was a mechanic. So we go back to the mansion, and it turns out that when we get to the mansion, Fitcher is being punished, by the feds. Apparently, so he's back in town. Apparently what happened, what he told us wasn't actually true. He had deserted his recon mission to South Window. He also lied about, So the thing he actually did that was bad was that he deserted his own recon mission. He didn't tell us that, probably because that's embarrassing. The other thing that he apparently is being punished for is that he lied and said that he was bringing the commander-in-chief of the other, what's our
army?
Whatever. All right, we can do whatever we want.
That's called the Book Club Army.
That's right. He bringing the commander-in-chief of the South Window Army to form an alliance. Now we burst in and say, no, he wasn't lying about that. Here we are. We're right here. Except they're really incredulous that we, a kid, could really be Lord Toby, defeater of the Highland Army. But then they see our bright shield rune. So they're like, oh, I guess you are Lord Toby. So then we get to see Lord Mackay, who is the leader of the town. So Mackay is the plenipotentiary of Two Rivers. I think to myself, what the fuck is the plenipotentiary? Then the dialogue option lets us ask, what the fuck is the plenipotentiary? But the answer isn't helpful at all. So
a person, especially a diplomat, invested with the full power of independent action on behalf of their government, typically in a foreign country.
So that's just an ambassador.
Yeah, not really the equivalent of the mayor of a town.
Yeah, I think they just thought of a fancy word, I think. But anyway.
That's what the dialogue option says when you ask what it is. They're like, yeah, we're just the mayor. We just use a funny word.
Yeah, well, they actually do get some kind of explanation. They're like, oh, well, we have like a special method of choosing our leader here, but it's like that Still doesn't answer the question what a plenipotentiary is. And I forgot what the special method was because it's not important. Anyway, so a lot of the dialogue makes clear that Fitcher is greatly disliked around these parts. And we also tell him about the winger, what stole our money. So we go to stay at the hotel, and when we get to the hotel guy is like, oh, Lord Toby? I thought Lord Toby already came. He's in your room. And we get there, and it's Chaco. He says he's like, hey, I'm illiterate. I can't I'm 17 years old and I never learned how to fucking read. But I had my grandma read the letter for me. And wow, are you really Lord Toby? I don't think so. Also, he eats our dinner and flies away. So the next morning, we get bad news. Lord Ridley, the ruler of the Kobold District, is accusing Lord Mackay of betraying his people. He also accuses us of having sided with the humans. He's like, oh, and you're going to side with them, I guess, huh? And it's like, whoa, you think we're going to side with the humans just because we're human? Come on, man. Anyway, and he's like, fine, you're going to betray us. The Highland army is fast approaching. I'm just going to go fight them. The kobolds, are just going to go fight them our damn selves. We don't need you. Then he storms off. Mackay is like, I don't know what the hell he's on about. Please help investigate. So Fitcher takes us to the Kobold District to talk to Ridley, but the guard won't let us through. We head back, and god fucking damn it, Chaco, he steals Fitcher's wallet. So we chase Chaco, and we chase him into a goddamn sewer dungeon, complete with boss. Yeah, this is the first time I've actually had any, gameplay in the game this week, and this dungeon I have nothing written about it. It is completely uninteresting, so is the boss.
One thing is I really like the enemy, the land shark.
that is a good one.
Yeah. No explanation. Just a shark.
A lot of the enemies are good in this
game. That jumps out of the earth and then back down.
Yeah, there are a lot of really good ones. No shade on a lot of the stuff in this game, but yeah, as far as the game design goes, it's a dungeon. What do you expect? So the tunnel lets us out in the Kobold District. Ridley shows up and is like, what are y'all doing here in the Kobold District? And we're like, we're coming to talk to you. We definitely didn't just go through the sewer dungeon because that bitch Chaco stole this guy's wallet. It was to talk to you. We asked him, hey, you know what? Since we're here, please explain your beef. And he does. He says, last night, one of our patrols intercepted a suspicious character out on the world map. The suspicious character got away, but they left a secret message. And the secret message had a secret treaty between Highland and Lord Mackay. He was going to sell the rest of us out, saving Two River, but surrendering the Kobold District specifically. We're like, this has got to be some kind of ruse. Lord Mackay would never do that. That seems ridiculous. Now, we don't really know that. Frankly, I went into this part thinking Lord Mackay probably is doing this because, humans, fuck them. Ridley is not an idiot. He's not so naive as to just, instantly assume that he's been fucked over. He's like, no, I can see how this could be a ruse. The Lord, what's his name?
Are you talking about General Kiba?
That's right, General Kiba. Or whatever. The bad guys totally could have intentionally let us, quote, capture this message in order to mess things up. But also, I don't know that. And my job is to protect my people. So I really can't trust Mackay. So we got to figure out what's up. So we go back to the human district. And as we arrive, turns out Mackay is meeting with General Kiba of Highland, which doesn't look good. So we only catch the end of the meeting, but Kiba walks away and is like, I know we can count on you to be sensible. I await your response. And then he walks off. Also, his son, Klaus, walks up to us and is like, yo, you're the really badass general. I'm also a badass. Yo, I really respect you. Really looking forward to facing you in combat. All right, cool, man. So Mackay tells us that. So we tell Mackay what Ridley said about the secret deal. He's like, no, that's horseshit. Kiba just was here offering peace entirely, like without the whole bad we're selling out the kobolds part. That's not the thing. He was just saying let's have peace. We tell him, man, I don't know what Kiba wants, but we know that Highland in general and the main bad guy in specifically Luca Blight got it. I figured it out. Luca Blight definitely doesn't want peace. He definitely wants to conquer this entire country. Fisher, being intelligent, figures it out. He's like, look, Kiba came here to have a totally innocent meeting with you so that the kobolds would hear that y'all had a meeting and assume that everything they already assume is true. So basically, Makai thinks that he's buying us time with this peace agreement, but we think the idea is to get all three races divided against each other, and then they can attack us. Back at our hotel, Fisher says he secretly sent word to Shu to send our brigade here as reinforcements. LMAO. Fisher definitely did not have the authority to do that. However, it definitely was a good idea. So also, Chaco confronts us and is like, hey, my granny says to come meet her. She's the leader of the Wingers. So then we learn a little bit about the Wingers. We found out
fun fact, you can totally skip this part. You don't have to go talk to her. You can just go on to the next part. I found that out because I just went on to the next, because I saved after Chaco told me that, went and did something else, came back the next day, and just went on to the next part of the game. And then I remembered, oh, wait, I was supposed to talk to some kid's grandma. And so I reloaded my save and went and did that.
Nice. Makes it tactical. It doesn't really lead to anything. So what we find out was that the reason the Wingers came down from their seclusion in the mountains to live in to be members of society was because Lord Genkaku invited them to. He was like, what are y'all doing up there? Come down here, be in society. It'll definitely be fine. And apparently for a while, it was fine. But everyone knew that Genkaku had invited them. So after the whole frame-up betrayal, then everyone was like, okay, now we'll go back to not liking you. And the grandma implores us to save the day, basically. So the next day, Kiba attacks. Turns out that the peace treaty ruse was a distraction. So we have this fantastic scene in front of the walls of the building, basically, where we're just trying to figure out what to do with the armies coming. So Ridley, again, reminder, kobold leader, Ridley is still really trepidatious about joining the fight. It looks like it's up to the humans themselves to defend the city, and they're all going to fall to Highland. But then the Wingers show up to fight. Everyone's like, what? Don't we mistreat you all and don't even like y'all, and y'all live in the shitty part of town and get no respect at all? And then Chaco gives an amazing soliloquy where he's like, fuck you, this is our city. I was born here and raised here, and I love my city, even if the other 2/3 of y'all, of the people who live here, don't even like us. We're gonna defend our home, you bitches. It's a really heartwarming scene where he's putting his home as the main thing, you know? And at the end of the day, everyone, including the kobolds, realizes that they all love the city where they live, and that's more important than their petty beefs. What I like is it doesn't heal the beefs. They're just like, yeah, we should probably fight the bad guys. That's a lot more important, actually. So we end up having a fight. And then finally, our army arrives, and we manage to push back the enemy. Hooray! So that's the end of that episode, really. It's just a little episodic thing. It's really good. So, as an interlude, we see the villains. It is Luca Blight, presumably at his mansion or something. And we see Solon G there. And Lord Luca Blight is like, you failed to defeat the protagonist earlier, so you're getting executed. So that sucks. So then Luca is like, all right, it's time for us to take Greenhill, which is a town, if you recall, we haven't been to yet. Do we have a general worthy to volunteer to lead that assault? And who should volunteer to lead the assault on Greenhill? But it's Joey. No. Joey says, I can do it with only 5,000 men. Oh, also, I'm going to need all the prisoners from Muse. What would he need those for? We'll probably find out. So back in Two River, Mackay tells Fitcher, "You fired." But he's just being silly. Fitcher is fired because he's being sent to work for Shu, where he'll probably be better use. So yay, he's one of our guys now. So we go back to our home castle, which has, and to be clear, he's of completely no use at all. So we go back to our home castle, which has been developed some. Neat. Like some of those rooms that weren't filled earlier, now they got stuff in them. That's cool. Characters got new dialogue. It's cool. But then we learn that Greenhill was captured by only 5,000 men off screen by the what's it called? I wrote it down somewhere, but whatever. By the fifth division or something.
There are 4 divisions. I know this because a point is made of it in next episode's section, and I believe this is the. I forget which division it is. I think
they for some reason, their intel has become aware that it is Solange's old division. So therefore, they know that it must be some new up-and-coming commander, and they wonder who it is. Wow, he must be brilliant. We don't have the juice to retake the city. We're too small. We can't. But we do need to sneak in and rescue their acting mayor, Teresa. She's beloved by all, and getting her to safety will be a big boost to morale. Greenhill is a college town and is resuming its normal operations under occupation, so we're going to pose as students. So only younger people can go, except for Flick, who will pose as our bodyguard and teacher. So you have to pick Flick, Toby, and Nanami. In addition to them, I went with Millie, Chaco, and Tuta. Who did y'all go with?
I brought Ellie and Shiro, because you can bring the dog, who I guess is just your pet. I guess pets are allowed at this college. And Wakaba, who is an optional character who is like a martial artist. She's great. Interesting note about Ellie is her name is spelled Eilie, but in next episode's section that I played, there's a character named Ellie, Ellie. So I guess this character is named like Eilie.
Weird.
Anyway,
go on.
I also brought the dog because it's amazing. And I brought Fletch, who we will meet next week. So when we... we can get him in Matilda. That's where he is. So y'all will get him there. I got him.
I got him in next episode's section.
Yeah. But he counts as a kid, and I brought Luke. And I think that's it. I think those are the 3 that you can pick.
I did Millie. I'm trying to remember, and I did who was the other one? Wasn't the dog? I did regret not doing that. Was it Tuta? Maybe Tuta and one other one that I can't remember. Oh, Clive. I brought Clive, and he's not. I guess he's a kid. I don't know.
Oh, I didn't know you could bring Clive.
Yeah, weird. I've been using Clive a lot. I don't know why. I just like a gun. Again, very partial to the gun.
Yeah, I've been using Clive a lot too. I guess I missed that I could have brought him, or maybe I hadn't recruited him yet. I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, so we get to pick some people. It's fun. We also, as a reminder, do bring
Pilika.
Pilika, yeah. Pilika is pretty much with us all the time, unless explicitly stated otherwise.
Actually, she's, for the most part, she's been at the castle while we've been off doing stuff. But this time, she just starts jumping around and getting excited when we talk about going to school. And she joins us for some reason on this dangerous sneaking mission.
And I guess she was up with us until we got to the castle, but that's because why wouldn't she be? We
didn't have a home base for her to stay at.
So far we've got one count of her not being with us and one count with her being with us so far. So anyway, so we convened outside Greenhill, and turns out Fitcher used his sneaky ways to get us fake enrollment papers from the academy. They're 3 years old, but he's like, I just claimed that you were delayed by the war. As an aside, I keep being impressed by how smart the characters in this game are. We all realize that Fitcher is totally great at smooth talking and also seems to know so much. Can't he just be our leader? And he's like, no. People in this town, they know me, so like it won't work for a variety of reasons. So he's going to be in the background, digging us up info and trying to help us out. So we go up to the prison, or to the prison. We go. I spoiled my joke. So we go up to the gate to the town, and we gotta do a ruse to get in, and it works. We don't get thrown in jail for once. We just go on in, and everyone's like, cool. As I expected, all the NPC dialogue is different from last time. If you recall, I came and explored before. Because, last time I was here, the city wasn't under occupation. However, the lesbian character is still here. The NPC who's just in love with one of the named characters and is lesbian. It's great. So we run into a new character, Nina, who is having an altercation with a Highland soldier. We're like, all right, you know what we got to do? We got to not step in and make a scene because we're trying to be undercover. So then we immediately step in and make a scene, which does work. The guard backs off, and Nina is very grateful, especially grateful to Flick because he was really the one taking the lead there, which is the opposite of what he's supposed to be doing. So we go to the front desk to register for school, and we learn that we're going to be staying in the dorms. The first 2 weeks of class are orientation, during which time our bodyguards can stay with us. But if we cause trouble during orientation, we will be expelled. So we better stay low and don't cause a scene. Find out how successful we are in just a moment. So we meet lots of characters with portraits, like professors and stuff. I said I will bring them up when they're relevant, and they didn't become relevant this week. So we also meet Lord Shin, who is Teresa's attendant. Teresa has been missing ever since the attack. So I guess Lord Shin was Teresa's attendant. So it's time to investigate. One thing we can do is talk to Emilia again, the lady at the front desk. And we can ask a couple of questions. We can hit on her, for example, which is very fun. We can ask a banal question about school, or we can ask about Shin. At some point, we can make the very bold move of telling her that we're looking for Teresa. If you tell her we're looking for Teresa, she kind of looks at us like, buddy, like, okay,
InfoSec.
Like, we all love Teresa here. Okay, like we're not the ones occupying the town. We're all normal, but like maybe you shouldn't just go around telling people, "Hey, we're investigating and we're looking for Teresa." But like, yeah, I got your back, obviously. And then she joined our party, while also telling us to please chill the fuck out in the future. Did y'all manage to get Emilia?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I haven't actually gone there really, but I believe she runs the library back at the castle.
Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's optional because at no point was there something where it's like you needed to have her. So I think she's optional. But yeah, I talked to her because she's great. Anyway, as we exit, we meet Nina again. She is now in love with Flick because he stood up for her earlier. She says that she knows the school like the back of her hand and can help us out. Back in the dorm, we have dinner in the cafeteria, and Nina says we're going to be good friends. The next morning, Flick covertly tells us, hey, I think Shin knows more than he lets on, but I can't really research it because people, I'm kind of an adult. So, people are way more chill sharing information with fellow kids, so y'all gotta go investigate. He then leaves, and
now I'm imagining Flick with two skateboards walking up Delivering Steve Buscemi's classic line.
Exactly. Then Nina runs up right after Flick leaves, and she's like, Flick, wait, I left. Oh, fuck, he left. God damn it. She made him a boxed lunch. She's disappointed and decides to just join us in our explorations. FYI, each day of this section of the game, they keep saying we gotta explore, and that never actually means, like, talk to NPCs and get info. It just means walk a little ways until you get to a cutscene. So we exit the university into the town proper. We see some Highland guards accosting the innkeeper outside the inn. They're all like, we know Teresa's hiding in there. And he's all like, no, she isn't. Why would she hide in the inn? That is the worst possible place to hide. And he's like, and the guards are just like, that's just what someone who is hiding Teresa in the inn would say.
I mean, it is.
And again, we have to choose if we're going to make a scene. And either way we do make a scene. It turns out, but then it turns out that the Highland Guards are led by Dowd. So now I'm really glad we made a scene, because fuck that guy. But turns out it's not as big of a deal as we thought. The person guarding, like, we kind of enter the scene, like we kind of enter the stage, and could potentially have made a scene. But then Shin is there, also guarding the inn, and he ends up backing down. Dowd is like, if y'all don't back down, we will burn down this entire building. Shin is like, what about y'all's agreement to leave us alone? And he's like, the agreement, like, we've already been merciful to y'all. We were merciful by not destroying this entire town and killing all of y'all, so shut the fuck up talking to me. So Shin slinks away in shame.
I didn't want to interrupt your flow, but I do want to point out his name is Rowd, and he can remember it because he's a rowdy boy.
Gotcha. I knew I typoed it the first time we did the notes, but I think I forgot what part of it I typoed wrong. Rowd, got it. He's a rowdy boy. You got it. So back in the dorm at night, Nina keeps talking about how she's in love with Flick. And she also tells us not to be too loud at night or we'll attract, quote, the wandering ghost. Ruh-roh. The next day, Nina and Nanami talk. Nanami asks Nina if she meant it, what she said about the ghost. Nina is like, nah, I don't believe in ghosts. But, like, people have been seeing or hearing a mysterious figure sneaking around at night. So, like, I don't know what it is. There is a thing. Something is going on. I don't believe in ghosts. Then she gets mad at Nanami because she heard someone hanging around at night with Flick secretly, and she assumes it's Nanami and is like, you bitch, he's mine. Nanami is just like, no, that's stupid. Yeah. So later, Flick tells us that we need to head down to town because he got, quote, orders from Fisher. We don't really know what that means because when we get down, we never find out what the deal was there. Because when we get to town, turns out Fisher got found out, and the townspeople are now accosting him. All the town people are like, hey, we recognize you. You're that guy who comes around sometime. You're from Muse. We recognize your Muse accent. What are you doing here, you bastard? Now I'm thinking, why do the people from here not like people from Muse? Aren't we all in the same country? So Flick goes up and is like, what's going on here? I'm new and I don't know nothing about nothing. But why are you mad at this man who I definitely don't know? Aren't Muse and Greenhill allies? They say no. Muse are a bunch of traitors. They stabbed us in the back. And then Fisher's like, help, kind stranger. And then Flick is like, oh, this guy's a traitor? Damn, he needs to be punished. I then wrote in brackets what the hell happened here because I didn't really get it and I never really clarified. So basically, Flick like kind of pretends to cut Fisher's like head off, but then and then everyone runs off, and then it turns out Fisher was fine.
What happens is Flick just decides to resolve this by extremely escalating the situation, and he's like, okay, well, let's cut this guy's fucking head off. And everyone's like, wait, no, we didn't want to actually, fuck, okay, this guy's crazy. And then they
but then he does perform some kind of action, and then there's some graphics.
I don't know, maybe.
The action is he's like, let's cut this guy's head off, and they're like, and so he draws his sword in a bespoke animation, and he's about to do it, and they're like, this guy's fucking nuts, and they leave, and then Fitcher is on the ground like cowering, and it's like,
oh, okay.
just fucking do it, and he's like, dude, stand up, I'm not gonna cut your fucking head off.
Yeah, when Fitcher was on the ground, I thought maybe it like blipped out or something, and that I thought that Flick like did some kind of fake sword slash or something like that. Anyway, it's a pretty cute scene. So we find out that the general who took the city will be here in a few days. Yikes. At night, we hear creaking and steps. Nanami is like, it's the ghost, and she makes us go with her. We chase a shadowy figure to a secret passage. We chase it more and more, and eventually tackle the shadow, and it's Flick. He's been sneaking around at night, tailing Shin, who is also sneaking around at night, being sus. We go all the way through that passage, which is not a dungeon. You might have thinking another secret passage, 2 secret passages in 2 towns, but it's not a dungeon. You just walk down some hallways and that's it. And then you exit the secret passage, and now you're outside the town, sort of to the north of it, and you're in a forest. And now we do have a dungeon. It's a forest. It's a boring forest dungeon with some good enemy designs. We go through it. There's not a boss here, right? Am I?
No boss.
Idiot? Okay,
No
I didn't
boss.
think so. I don't remember one. So we go through a boring dungeon, and we find a shack in the woods. Outside the shack is Shin. He says, I cannot let you any further. At this point, we realize who's probably in the shack. We're like, dude, we're not with Highland. We're allies. He says, I believe you, but I can't trust anyone I don't know. It's the principle of it. He's about to fuck us up. But then the shack door opens, and it's Teresa. She says, stop, I want to talk with these people. So yes, she's been hiding out here all along, and Shin is such a devoted bodyguard, he won't let anyone find out where she is, not even people who are very clearly allies, like anyone in the town, which is good. Shin did the right thing here. Okay, good info set. So we talk with Teresa. We're like, hey, we want to rescue you, so that you can lend us your power. We can be allies. She's like, I have no power. It's the people of Greenhill who have the power. I abandoned them. I'm not going to join you because I can't possibly let anything like that day happen ever again. So then we get a flashback to that day. So what happened was, Greenhill realized the Highland was coming and was gearing up to fight. And then what happened was, as they're gearing up, the bad guy general shows up, and he says, haha, I'm gonna fight you, but first, here's all those prisoners that I took from Muse. You can just have them. I'm setting them free. They can live in your town now. And everyone's like, that's weird. One person advances the suggestion that perhaps the enemy general is so pompous that he wants it to be an even match. So he's like, literally, y'all have some more soldiers so that we can have a more fair fight, which that's something you could imagine someone doing. People are very pompous in these kind of stories. So what happens is they take in all of the Muse soldiers, and they also have they're all geared up. They have swords and armor and everything. But then what happens is that the Muse soldiers are immediately like, we want to get revenge. Let me at them. Let's go fight their asses. And then they're like, obviously, we're going to need rations. So they start taking food from the town to be their army food. People in the town are like, whoa, that is our food. It is for feeding not the army. We have that too, but that's for feeding the citizens of this town. We're kind of under occupation. We have limited stores. This is for feeding all the women and the children. Please don't take all that food. And then, of course, there's conflict about, should we fight? Should we negotiate? Should we run? Between these two different groups. It gets really, really, really bad, and they end up having a fight and killing each other a whole lot. And not a whole lot, but they're definitely fighting, and there's definitely some violence. And they're fighting so much and owning each other that when the enemy army rolls up, they just roll in and take it without even having a fight. So huge L for the city-states of Houston. Teresa says, I'm just ashamed that me as the leader could have let this happen. I'm sorry, but there's nothing for you here. You should please just leave. Shin's like, nothing personal, but if Highland... Shin says, that's her bodyguard. He says, look, nothing personal, but like, if Highland somehow finds out Teresa is here, I'm going to assume that it's your fault, and I'm going to murder all of you. So the next morning, we get ready to leave, and we note that it's a little weird that Nina isn't trying to smooth today. Where could she be? But oh shit. In the town, a bunch of Highland soldiers are holding a sort of... Wow, I have so many notes. I don't even feel like I'm going slow. I'm just reading it word for word, but it's taking so long. In the town, a bunch of Highland soldiers are holding a sort of announcement by Raud. I typed it right this time, actually. With all the townspeople watching. Raud says, $20,000 for whoever brings me Teresa. And also, you'll have Highland citizenship and full immunity. The crowd, thankfully, is like, boo, you stink! And Raud threatens them. But then who shows up but Joey? Joey shows up. He was the general all along, which we knew due to the interlude scene earlier, but no one else knew that. He shows up, and he says, hey, the guys who were responsible yesterday for that unlawful investigation, they're being punished, okay? Highland keeps its promises. We promise. I know we fucked up yesterday. Those guys were out of line. We keep our word. So if you deliver Teresa, we will do what we just said. It's not a trick. But then Pilika, who is with us, seeing Joey, was a person that she very much loves, sort of an adopted father figure, kind of, or cousin-ish thing, big brother, she runs off into the crowd toward Joey. We try to stop her, but she gets close enough for Raud and Joey to see her. And then they see us. And it's a big dramatic moment. We don't get some dramatic, confrontation between Toby and Joey because Toby has time to say, one sentence. It's like, Joey, ... or something. And then we gotta run away because the guards are after us. The main exit's blocked, and the only other way out is through Teresa's forest. But that will bring the guards to her, so we are just going to have to rescue her, whether she likes it or not. So we go to Teresa's shack, and oh fuck, it's Nina. Turns out she knew all of this the whole time. She was being Shin's gopher, getting supplies and stuff, and gathering intel of her own while we were trying to gather intel. Damn, she's cool. Teresa says that she's going to give herself up to Dowd. She's like, if I do that, then they'll have mercy on Greenhill. We're like, that's insane. Please, place, don't. But she says, if you try to stop me, I will kill myself. So Shin takes her side, because he will always be devoted to her, and they go off. They confront Raud and his soldiers. But then at that moment, Shin actually says, I'll never let any of you lay a finger on her. So he's actually not going to let her do the dumb thing. We also decide to save her and show up. And she's like, everyone stop fighting. Just let me do this, for God's sake. And then Nina stands in front of everyone and gives a great speech. She's like, do you think that if you do this, everyone's going to feel better? Everyone's going to be happy and have a good time? We're the ones who totally fucked it up and lost that battle. And it made us all feel like shit. It's our fault this is happening. It's our fault that they invaded our town. It's our fault that you had to be hiding out in the woods. You've done nothing but show kindness and courage. And we all feel terrible. So if you give yourself up to the enemy, we're never going to recover for this. We may lose battles or even this entire town, but there is something more important than that we can't lose. She doesn't say what it is, but I'm guessing it's the friendship or something. So then there's a lot of chaos, and she escapes with us. She being Teresa. Also,
isn't there a scene where we're passing through the city or something, and Teresa hears the cries of the people and is emboldened and filled with determination and stuff?
That's around here somewhere, yeah. So Teresa's interesting. Teresa keeps going in and out of she kind of in a very realistic way, I feel like, flipping between okay, fine, I'm going to do the right thing and save everyone, and no, I'm too black-pilled. I'm just going to give up because that will save everybody, actually. She's kind of reluctantly escaping with us, and yeah, there's some scenes like that I didn't write down, and they were 2 weeks ago, so anyway, there's more guards, and Shin does the big hero thing and holds them off. Also, Teresa continues telling everyone to stop sacrificing for her, so he literally just knocks her unconscious. We get back to Teresa's woods, and Pilika, seeing something off in the distance, runs off. That's right, it's Joey. So Toby and Joey have their conversation. Joey's like, bruh, I'm giving you this advice as a friend. Give up. Resign as commander, run away. It is a foregone conclusion. Luca is going to win the war. He and the Highland Army are way too strong. Fighting against that is just going to prolong all the suffering. The best thing y'all can do is give up. Y'all are going to lose either way. Then he says, however, I, quote, won't let Luca have his way with Highland and the city-state. So he's clearly up to something. We're not really sure what, but yeah, it's definitely not just that he and Luca are best buds or anything. Pilika, who, as a reminder, has been mute ever since her house burned down, managed to eke out a few syllables. She tries to say Joey's name. He says we need to run, and we drag her away and run. There's a final scene with some other soldiers. Basically, if you recall, there were some soldiers who were named characters from a previous scene who were also there with they were also there when that Solange was assassinated.
Yeah.
And basically what happens is we're trying to escape, and then Raud goes up to Joey and is like, where Toby and them go? And Joey's like, I haven't seen him. And Raud's like, I think you're bullshitting me. I know that you and these guys are friends. I think you let them get away. And that's not going to work. Again, he's smart. But then those other two soldiers, whose name I forgot because I didn't write them down, and I'm sorry. Those other two soldiers are like, no, we didn't see him. We didn't see him either. You know? And Raud, not realizing that, not seeing any reason why all three of these guys would all be lying to him, is like, okay, damn, I guess you're right. So he goes off, and then there's a bit more talking, and we basically realize that there's sort of a developing kind of a third faction. Basically, there turns out transmission.
Oh well, that's happened last week too.
Yeah, it turns out that there are lots of. As we learned last time, actually, when we talked to the princess. Turns out there are a lot of people inside of the Highland army and society who do not like the way things are going. And they're going to be a increasingly important faction, I would say, going forward, which is very exciting. So that's it. We are now on the world map outside of Greenhill, having mostly completely fucked up. Well, I mean, I guess our main goal here was to get the mayor lady, and we did. So we did a good job with that, I guess. Other than that, though, things aren't doing too great. So yeah, that's where we leave off. And let's do our mim moms. And as usual, I might have to peace out, but let's do some.
Awesome. Bernard already said that he's not going to talk about his again because it was long.
I do have one thing that I want to talk about.
Go ahead.
So, in my playing of the game, there's been a few mentions of McDole, who is the main character of Suikoden 1. You give him his first name, which his canonical first name is Tyr, and his last name is McDole. However, there is a glitch in this version when you transfer save data over. It only transfers uppercase letters, apparently, for his name. And the name that you entered apparently like overwrites McDole, not replaces it. So what this means is, in my game, this character is referred to as Bicdole, which confused me a lot. And I was like, is this some wild translation goof? So I was Googling like Suikoden Bicdole and couldn't find anything. But eventually I found that it's just a very weird save transfer glitch.
Weird. Interesting. Yeah, I actually, ironically, am on the Tier McDole page of the Suikoden.fandom.com wiki, and a lot of the McDole content that you are getting is because you have a completed Suikoden 1 save, and we do not. He is only mentioned, and the all the times that he shows up for you, we will instead see Ellie, who we meet next week. Ellie takes his spot in the plot, which is cool.
Interesting. What I played ahead, not ahead, just, what I played, she didn't actually show up in the plot. She was just like an NPC, and I talked to her, and she was like, hey, I'm Ellie. I have a portrait. And so I was like, how do I recruit this character? You can't recruit her. I don't know. So, yeah. But McDole hasn't showed up yet for me, but he's been mentioned a couple times.
Dope. I honestly do not remember because it's been a long, long time. I remember one. So there's a we talked a lot about all the different characters that you can recruit. One of them is a fucking creep and probably Chaco's abuser, and we invite him into the army with open arms. But if you go into this like hidden door in the sewer, some like creepy dude starts coming at you and is like, bring me Chaco. So we oblige for some reason, and we bring Chaco, and Chaco's like, man, I fucking hate this guy. And the guy's like, yeah, I'm an asshole to Chaco. Let him join your party. And you're like, okay, sure. He's grimy looking. His name is Sid.
He hangs out in the creepy cemetery.
That's nice.
That's normal of him, actually.
Yeah. I feel like I had something else that I wanted to bring up besides Bicdole. It's just sort of wild to me that people apparently say skip the first game, because the first game is good, not nearly as good as this, but there's a lot of reason to play the first game, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nuts.
I got all of my memos were just about other characters, but I've been moving my mouth a lot and I feel like I'm tired of it. Most of the new characters I met are honestly kind of cool, and if I use them more later, I'll tell y'all about it. But the one I will mention is Clive. Clive is he's like, hey, this is in South Window. He's like, this is after we get our boat, by the way. Clive is like, I'm chasing a criminal, but I can't get to Lake West. If only I had a boat. Quinkadinkly, we have a boat. So he joins us because we have a boat. And I'm thinking, oh man, is this going to be something capital FTFG from the first game? And it is. And if from last time Bernard explained, this is that whole like timed side quest thing that's super fucking weird. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. That's Clive. It's kind of interesting. I like the idea of someone joining our party just because we have a boat. Out here in California, it's not in the Bay Area. It's not uncommon for someone to be friends with someone just because they like have a car or something, or like a truck, or like so it's relatable.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right. So one of the things that I think Maddy pointed out in episode 1, right when we're getting Nanami, like if you click on objects, it'll just kind of tell you a bookshelf with books. But in the next episode, I'll talk about there's actually stuff on the shelves you can get, like hidden recipes and stuff. And I was like not checking anything.
Yeah, I
like,
gave up on checking because you never got anything.
But now I know you do, and I was like, damn, in the school, could you've gotten stuff? And I'm like, that's so annoying.
Anyway. Can I give a mom from Suikoden 1?
Sure.
Yes.
So you can do that in Suikoden 1 as well. One of the generals of the Scarlet Moon Empire, which is where the game takes place, is like a dandy, very fashionable and stuff. And you can go to his house, and there's just rows and rows of wardrobes. And there's probably
recruitable characters that I do want to bring back up that from last time is because he's the best. But there's a character named Gabocha who can join the party, and his whole deal is that he's obsessed with Gingen. So if you bring Gingen, Gingen is like, Gabocha, I know you're obsessed with me, and I know you want to be an adventurer just like me, but this is a war, not an adventure. You can't come with me. And Toby is like, absolutely not. You are a child dog. You cannot come with us. And you leave the room, and Gabocha follows. You don't even get the Gabocha has joined your party pop up. He just follows you anyways, and then he's available as a party member.
And when you talk to Gingen at your castle, his default dialogue is, man, the sun sure feels good on my fur. And then if you talk to Gabocha, his default dialogue is, Gingen likes the outdoors. The sun feels good on his fur. I'm like, you sure have one personality trait, little dude. I love it.
Have you seen dogs? They love when the sun's on their fur.
They do.
Meg and Gadget are another cool little... That's a good one that we mentioned last time. It's basically her best friend is a robot, and the robot is shaped like a barrel, and nothing's really explained about how that robot exists. But we know she might have made it.
Yeah. Apparently, she is capital FT, capital FG. She's from the first game.
Yeah.
According to my guide.
Nice. Is Gadget is there robots recruitable in the first game, Bernard? Or like
no, Gadget is new.
Okay. I love when stuff is from the first game.
There's so much stuff from the first game. It's gotten to the point where I've stopped mentioning it a lot of the time.
Oh, no, never stop.
I was really surprised that Genkaku was not from the first game.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I figured, this was like a key plot element in the first game, right?
No, he's new.
I thought he was going to be your character.
That's kind of what I thought. Yeah, I thought maybe that was true as well, yeah.
Nope, you're also not, I don't think as young as Ryo, but Tyr is also, he's probably like 18. So he's also a kid leading an army.
Yeah, so there's so much in this game that's from the first game, and then Suikoden 3 is only 15 years later, so there's a lot of stuff in there that's from the first two games.
That's really cool.
And it's like, that makes sense. Why invent 108 characters every time? If you're just going to have some chef, why not make it the same chef every time? But then Suikoden 4 and 5 are both prequels of various lengths prior, so they invented 108 new characters for both of those games. which is bonkers. I couldn't do it.
I mean, they don't develop the characters too much.
I didn't know they were fun. How does tactics fit into all this?
Suikoden. So Suikoden 1, 2, and 3 are all like within 20 years of each other. Then Suikoden 4 is 150 years prior to that point, and it takes place in 5 out of 7. Too much water, and it's the pirate game, and people don't like it for a lot of reasons. But then Suikoden 5 is 10 years prior to Suikoden 1, and Suikoden Tactics is 5 years after Suikoden 4, so that's 145 years in the past. And then Suikoden PSP, I don't remember where it fits, but it's like a full ass Suikoden game as well, and it fits somewhere.
And Suikoden, the 2 Suikoden games are side stories for Suikoden 2, and Suikoden Tierkreis, as far as I know, is unrelated to anything.
Yes.
Nice. Is it really called Suikoden?
Yes. Isn't that great?
The Japanese thing, the Japanese language love of portmanteaus. I'm sure it's normal.
Technically, it's not. It's not even
because one of the words is in its entirety and the other one isn't. Yes, but it's just so funny to me. You know, like it's like, oh, how do we combine these words? Should we make an acronym? No, we'll take half of one word and half of the other word. And like in English, that's like a goofy thing to do. That's like a joke, right? But in Japanese, it's like totally normal. We see it all the time. Very funny to me.
Oh, I was actually going to say it's not a portmanteau in Japanese because Den means legend and Gaiden is side story. So instead of Ginzo Suiko legend, it's Ginzo Suiko side story. It just happens to be punny at the same time.
Well, my point stands for lots of other games.
Yes.
I mean,
Dorogwe.
It's absolutely not a hot take that Japanese has puns in it.
Yeah. Well, it's like puns, but like in situations where it's like wordplay in situations where there's no reason to like be funny, right? It's like, this is the name of a thing. Why is it a weird pun? That's it. Especially if it's like, oh, this is a very serious video game. It's like, okay, why? But yeah, I mean, we're talking about the same artistic media culture that has like, you know, a really, really famous guy that we all love and respect, who's like, what if all the characters are named after different foods? That's the theme this time around. You know, shout outs to Toriyama-san, the absolute king.
So I looked it up, and Suikoden PSP, The Woven Web of the Century, and also Suikoden DS, Tierkreis, are both completely unrelated, not on the timeline at all. And
go on.
Suikoden PSP only has 18 playable characters, and not 108.
Yes, imagine someone just scratching out the 0. Yes, the 18 Stars of Destiny.
And I believe Suikoden Card Stories retells the stories of Suikoden 1 and 2.
You know, I'm very surprised. Shout out to the Suikoden DS devs for resisting the urge to call it like Suikoden Dual Stories or some shit like that. Because
Suikoden Destiny Stars. Yeah,
like, see, there you go. Like, everyone else, apparently, it was a rule where you had to do that. So credit to them for.
They can call it Denko Sui and capitalize the D and the S.
God damn it!
Resident Evil Deadly Silence is good, though. That's a good title.
That's good.
Deadly Silence.
A lot of them were good. It's just dumb that they kept doing it. Although, anyway, we should probably wrap this up. Since instead of doing mem-bombs, we're like, let's not do mem-bombs because it takes too much time. And then we're like, instead, we're just gonna say dumb shit.
Dumb shit. But if you like what you heard this week, you can check us out on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations will go to buying games for us, keeping the lights on, hosting costs, those sorts of things. As more people donate, we unlock more and more bonus seasons. We currently are making our way through Final Fantasy 13-2. We are already in the bag for Final Fantasy 13-3. And we are working on unlocking a short series on Metal Gear Solid. So go and donate to those. That'll be real cool and shit. When you donate, you also will get access to the Book Club no Kaseki episodes, which will be releasing again here pretty soon. We took a small hiatus. And you'll get access to those a month before the podcast feed gets them. So go and do that. Help us offset some of these costs. But for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm Bick Dole.
I'm Hattie Grace Webben.
And I'm Anthony Lerma.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.